Salboni, you creative visionaries. I am Tembi Buthelezi, Chief Visionary Officer at Featuregen Leaders and the founder of the Featuregen Leaders Foundation. And welcome to our Healing and Expansion series. We are celebrating Women's Month in a lot of countries around the world. The US is celebrating Women's Month. In a few days, we're going to have International Women's Month, which is March 8th. And as a South African, a woman that was born in South Africa, we had an incident a few days ago of a young lady, a young woman who was beaten by her boyfriend or her significant other. And sometimes I think to myself, kwenzakalani emhlabeni kaJehova? Kwenzakalani emhlabeni kaJehova where young women are still being beaten by their significant others? Kwenzakalani emhlabeni kaJehova where as young women mokhuluma and you say what has happened, people further victimize you, right? So, babes, what has happened to her happens to a lot of young women every single day of the week around the world. It's just that as South Africans, we are not ashamed of actually speaking up about what is happening in our homes, in the privacy of our homes, in our country. We are speaking up, and I applaud women who speak up. I think those are the brave visionaries, the brave young women that are going ahead of us and going, it's gotta end. It's gotta end. So I think in making this video, I want to send compassion and empathy to this young woman who was brave enough to stand up and say, something wrong is happening in my home. And as a celebrity, to have the confidence and the courage to speak up and not save face, I must commend a young woman who has that kind of strength within her. I remember being beaten by a guy that I was dating, because I believe most of us as women go through domestic violence, but we never speak up. Or even if you do speak up, you get silenced by people around you, by the media, by the police, and so you don't continue to speak up. So number one, I think I'm very grateful for social media that now we can actually record this stuff and actually speak up about it. And number two, there's evidence. And number three, it's going viral. I'm so grateful for this. I grew up in a very abusive home. My dad is a sociopath. He's like a total sociopath. He doesn't know, nor does he acknowledge when he has hurt anybody. To him, it's like, okay, well, what's your problem? But a Zulu man, it's like, I have a right to beat you. I have a right to beat you, right? So I ran away from home at 17. And running away from home at 17, I lived with my grandmother, and then I met this Zulu man, this beautiful Zulu man. And he started beating me, right? And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. I left home with an abusive dad who beat my mother and beat me. Now I'm out in the streets by myself as a young Zulu girl. I meet this nice Zulu man, and he's now abusing me. There was one day he picked me up at work and he beat me and raped me for 5 days straight. After that, I ran away and went to the police station. The police station said, girls like you deserve to get beaten and killed. I called my mother after that experience, and my mother said, girls like you who run away from home deserve to get killed over and over and over again. I said to my mother, but I left home because your husband was killing me. Your husband was beating me. So I didn't leave home and run away from Soweto because I wanted to run away from home. I wanted to be out on the streets by myself. I left home because the home environment was not conducive for a young woman. But my mother, she's so mentally not here. My mother is emotionally not here. She said to me, women like you deserve to get killed and beaten on the street. 4 years later, I went and rescued my mother from her abusive relationship with my father. So this abuse thing has been going on for so many years, and in watching this story unfold online, I've seen a few people say, why is she recording this? Why is she coming out now? What is the motive around this? I'm like, we need to stop further victimizing women. We really need to stop further victimizing women. We need to be conscious that when somebody has gone through something so what I did when I went through something like that, I called my mother and told her what had happened, that the Zulu man had raped me for 5 days and almost tried to kill me. That guy, he literally he used to dig holes in his garden and say, I'm going to put your leg here, I'm going to put your arm here, I'm going to put your head here. He was crazy. He was sociopathic. He was a crazy psychopath. When I told my mother about that, and she was like, yeah, girls like you who run away from home deserve to get killed. I then knew that when you speak up, you are going to be further victimized. So I really just want us as South Africans to be sensitive to what this young woman is going through. We really need to be sensitive to what the pain that she is going through, the courage it took for her to come online and record what was happening to her in her house. I think we need to not victimize these young women who have the courage to speak up and record the stuff and put it out. I went silent for 20 years. I literally went silent. I stopped talking about domestic violence. 11 years ago, I was working as volunteering in a homeless shelter in Las Vegas, and I was working with women who were beaten too, and they had ran away and had homeless shelters. I said, I wish that South Africa had homeless shelters for women who are abused. I really wish that we had that in South Africa, because a lot more young women would be saved from domestic violence, and a lot more women lives would be saved from this, But I think we need to stop further victimizing women who come out and tell their story. We need to come to a point of understanding that it takes a lot for somebody to speak up. And if we further victimize this young celebrity, this young woman, for the pain that she's going through, how many more women are going to stop speaking up? Right? So we need to stop. We need to just be very sensitive and very compassionate and empathetic towards the courage that she's had to actually come out and say, this is what's happening. And I think as mothers too, and women, we need to, on some level, have some form of compassion. When somebody shares something that deep with you, or even shows you something that deep, you need to have a little bit more compassion and say, I wonder, because you don't know when it can happen to you. You have no idea when it can happen to you. So for me, I just went silent. I stopped talking about domestic violence. I just used to help women. I saved my mother. I rescued my 2 younger sisters from this domestic violence. They are now narcissists and just crazy people, very entitled human beings. I've been working with women who have experienced domestic violence for so many years, over 20 years. And the one thing I can say is we need to have compassion for women who have been beaten. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I want to be beaten. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I want to save face and hide that stuff. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says that. We need to have more compassion for young women who are going through the stuff, because if we cannot have the confidence to speak up and know that we're going to be heard, number one, number two, and know that we're going to be supported, why would you then speak up? We say to people, why don't you speak up? And that's going to be the next video that I'm going to do. Why don't we come out and share? But the reason we don't come out and share is because you are going to be victimized further. You are going to be ridiculed. You are going to be made fun of. You are going to be the gossip of the town. So why the hell would you want to come out? Okay, so so now that I've shared this part and I've shared my story, I just want to say to this young woman, you know what, honey? Just stay in your peace. Protect your peace at this moment. You need to heal. Protect your peace, sisi. Zivalele lapho uzivalele khona. Uthule, uthandaze. Ukhiphe iBhayibheli lakho. Mangafana ukhiphe iBhayibheli lakho. Uthule, uthandaze. Because you know what? God is there with you. No matter what you're going through, God is there with you. A lot of women have gone through that, and you will come out on the other side. Okay? Oh, before we sign off, I got so passionate about my topic on spiritual abuse. I've had enough of the spiritual abuse towards women. But I forgot to tell you in the process that I, for the month of Women's Month, am running a masterclass for all of the goddesses out there who have had enough of having their mind, their heart, their emotions manipulated by narcissistic, toxic people in authoritative positions of power. So if you are really wanting to heal, you're wanting to get your power back, you wanting to take control of your life, and you know that this is your time, your month, your life, your year, please make sure that you look in the description below and follow the link and register for the free masterclass for Women's Month. I think I'm going to be running this masterclass for a while, because, you know, it's time for us as women to wake up. We have the power. The force is feminine. So I'll see you at the masterclass. Bye for now.